So as we resume back to where we were talking about on the last teaching about how Satan wants to put the woman, and if you notice, he's actually deceived the woman, into believing that she can achieve what the man can achieve. We're gonna have to get into singular. We got so much to talk about and so much to teach, and we got the time to teach it too. So there's no need to rush. I don't want anybody feeling like we have to panic. We're going to get the truth out. We're going to get this word out. Okay, so anyway, I ain't doing this live. I'm just making sure I'm documenting the word as the Lord speaks to me. But that's the whole thing. He wants to repeat Genesis 3. He wants to repeat it. And if you notice, he's already doing that. He wants it to repeat itself again. And that is the way that he thinks he's going to stop the Messiah from returning. And that's what he was doing when King Herod was ordering the Roman military to kill every child you can find, because he had received word. And these guys were heavily into astrology and cosmic knowledge. So that's how they were able to interpret. But that's why they had to slaughter people, because the knowledge of the fallen, it didn't come with grace. So all they could do was guess around about the time. If you notice, witches, they can never heal you. They can just give you some temporary. It's just think about the healing modalities that are used in the occult community. They are similar to the medicine, and I find that strange how pharmaceutical medicines and the occult world, they go hand in hand. You put two and two together. But anyway, he wanted to, and you can see it in sports. Transgender. They got men now competing in women's sports, and nobody's talking about it. And we're accepting this. We're accepting this on a governmental level. You look in other countries, they might have their third world issues and their third world struggles, but certain things out there you can't do with your body. Certain things out there you can't do with your body, or the government going to handle you. Because they know that if we allow everybody to keep destroying themselves, let's just be blatant with it. It will see, because they know God. You gotta understand. We ain't gonna jump around, but they know God, so they know His prophecy, and they know around the time. But because it's written in the book, so it doesn't take a genius to see that. So they're starting to find out, like, hey, this God, if they didn't know He was real, they know He's real now. But you got to understand, the forefathers that handed them down, the knowledge that they handed down to them, and the inherited blessings, which is really just a lot of spoiled kids who have inherited political power and governmental power. So what we see is serious to them. It's just funny. It's just something to do. For them to cause chaos in the world, it's funny to them. But that's how Lucifer does what he does in the astral plane. He likes to hide out in the astral plane. He'll come to you and have you thinking that somebody around you off that ain't even off. That's what he does. And when he's doing that, that's when you know you're anointed. That's when you know the protection in you and around you at an elite level, because he had to come at you now as people that you already know. He wants to make it harder for you to discern him from his demons. You see what I'm saying? He don't want you to be able to discern between them two, because he know that if you can discern between the two, then you will go all out. You won't have to make a decision. You will just get rid of them both. but he wants the woman to believe that she can transcend. He wants Eve. Remember, he said the days of Noah is going to repeat itself. So the days of Noah, time did something. Remember, he said his spirit would no longer strive with man, so he decreased man's year to 120. And it talks about how a time and a half. You get it in the Bible during the end time prophecy where the Antichrist was going to do something with time itself, the fabrics of time itself. And we're just grazing the surface. I'm going to go a whole lot deeper into this. We're just grazing the surface. But time had done something, and that's why when they do this carbon dating, when they start dating these megaliths and these artifacts and these stones and things like that, they get the dates that they get. Because if you were to take our numbers and use their numbers, then because like you got to think about when you go out of space, anything outside of certain atmospheres in the Earth. But we notice that the further you go out into Earth's, into the heavens, different atmospheres, time begins to change. Or think of it this way. Think about it with the Bermuda Triangle. Apparently, obviously, the closer you get to something, it has to be a Stargate. Some invisible that you can't see, or something that you can see, but it blanketed. It's covered up with the fabrics of our own reality. So you have to be able to see through things, to detect things, because that's the only way you would be able to understand what God meant when he said, he in Amos, I believe it's 3:6. You check me, but if not, you get it. But it's certain things that he don't do. He said it's certain things that I don't do. Now this is the Creator, the Most High. He said there's certain things that he doesn't do on the earth without a prophet. See, it's certain people. It got to be certain people who can interpret and carry certain knowledge. See, we're going to have to get into eschatology. We're going to have to get into the birth process. There's so much we're going to have to understand. But you're not getting regular knowledge. This just ain't no ordinary word. You got to understand. I'm telling you, these are the end times. But we're going to get you full so that when it's time to go, look, you already know. You already got the spirit. God's going to show you this in dreams. He's going to give you a joy that you lost before you enter this body. That joy you had. That's why you had that happiness and that peace and that joy that you once had when you was a child. You didn't have to question nothing. See, you didn't have to question anything because everything was automatic. You had your own way. Oh, God. You had your own way of discerning things. Sorry, I just got a little happy. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about the Bermuda Triangle. So, yeah. So what we're seeing at the Bermuda Triangle is the same thing that we're seeing take place with the further you travel into deep space. Let's just say if you had a clock with you and you went in deeper and deeper into space, and you had a clock with you and you went deeper and deeper into this Stargate or this portal they call the Bermuda Triangle. So obviously we have portals on Earth where you can enter and exit and go from one place to another, because they had one guy, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember his name, but this is a very popular story. One guy who actually went in, but he found a way out. So we know that these, you can get in and out of these portals, but and I think this was a guy who was flying some plane doing some kind of military exercise or something. Like I said, we're gonna get deep into it. I'm just scratching the surface. I can't be going as deep into it because I don't want to take you too far. So, but he was stating that, and I know y'all got some questions, but he was stating that, that while he was going through this interdimensional travel, that he could see things shifting, according to sources. This happened long ago. And you notice, like, right around when, I would say from the 1900s. Notice that from the 1900s, to maybe the Black Panther era, which I'm sure stimulated the faith. Think about the faith that our people had. And when we look back on, the video and the pictures, we would look back at them and the way that they dress. We would look back at the colors of the resolution of what we're seeing, and we would say that it would seem like they didn't have access to nothing. But what we would have to understand is that what we would have to see is the faith that was moving in and around them. It really isn't about what it looks like in the physical. Because, physicality is physicality. So what was the faith that was moving around them? Because also now, in the early 1900s, Pentecost hit, revival hit, the Azusa Street revival. God hit an area. He hit a pastor, and God began to move in his church in such a way. Demons were being casted out. They said people were growing back limbs and body parts. Come on. But now it isn't, it's not that hard to believe. I'm sorry, I got my daughter in my hand. So you might hear a little angel. It's not that hard, because if you think about what happened when this guy, or when this airplane went into this portal or this Stargate and the Bermuda Triangle, and how other people have disappeared in these planes, obviously physicality can be opened up. It can be bent. Come on, you got to think deep now. You got to think spiritual. You got to have some kind of eye. Because Jesus even said that if your eye be single, your whole body should be full of light. He said, if your eye is single, your whole body should be full of light. To me, that sounds like focus. That sounds like fixation on God. That sounds like total surrendering to God. It don't sound like nothing spooky to me. Because when you look at it from my perspective, it's about being focused. It's about being fixed on God. But anyway, back to my point. So physicality, it can move, it can be bent, invisibility. I ain't gonna get too deep. We're gonna stay where we are. We're gonna stay where we are. Cause I got time to teach. So I gotta understand, I ain't gotta rush through this. I just wanna touch on certain things, to get your attention, to get your radars up, to get you some confirmation, to confirm some of those dreams and some of those things that you've always been thinking. You're hearing this from a pastor. You're not just hearing this from somebody that's just talking. So anyway, physicality can be bent and it can be moved. Think about it. When you walk through a door and it opens, something is being detected. Something around you. So think about a doorway or a portal. Even John, when he saw a doorway open up in heaven, people act like, why was he getting all this revelation? How can you trust these men of God, these human beings? They had sin. They weren't perfect. Yeah, the Bible tell you Noah wasn't perfect. He was righteous. Anyway, doorway opened up, and apparently John went through it. I'm gonna think that John went through this doorway, because then people are like, how do they know this? So how do we know it? So we know how the fallen angels did it when they deceived man. We know how they did it. They came and they told them, which is what we're getting prepared for now. This Nephilim return, because we have returned. Come on, back to these bodies. Satan has to do something. He has to counter it. He's like, man. See, now he gotta go for the Big Bang. That's why, and scientists are doing this. They're trying to recreate the Big Bang for Satan, because he got to do something big enough to deceive you. That's why they had giants. See, I know I got your attention. We rocking, baby. We rolling. So something has to be stimulated on this earth. Something has to undo the curse that God put on it, so that human beings cannot interact with supernatural phenomena on a personal or recreational level. It would have to be, at church, in a building with a pastor. You get it. But you notice in the times of the Bible, the supernatural was moving at folks' house. All over, people were being visited by angels, talking to angels. Come on, y'all. And we asked, how did they do it? Because it wasn't the restriction. The restriction. It wasn't seized up how it is now, but it's being released. We know God is releasing. He's going to disperse his power, this dispensation of the Holy Ghost. He's going to release that. But they're trying to release it on the end of things where God would not release it to the unbelievers. So what they have to do is yield themselves over to Satan. And first they got to have enough power on this side. They have to have enough technology, enough instruments to achieve the plans that he wants to achieve in this physical world. You got to think about it. Something from one side has to come to another. So things have to be built on both sides to achieve this. So we ask, how are people figuring this stuff out? How are we building these machines and these things? People are going through these doorways, these portals. They're communicating with spirits. Now, spirit can mean a lot of things. A spirit is just something inside something else. So if a spirit is just something inside of something else, then that will make the flesh simply the carrier. It is what converts spirit into flesh. But because of Christ, the redemption, he redeemed man. Now flesh can dwell with spirit. If spirit can get flesh to follow these guidelines, or at least attempt to. But because of the times we're living in, it'll be a lot easier. It'll be a lot easier because the times around you is gonna tell you, like, wait a minute, something's going on. You're gonna start hearing about these, just off-world things, sci-fi. You're gonna just start hearing about things and seeing things. There are things that are manifesting into physicality. I mean, beings. It's not everywhere yet, but you're seeing it. They're posting these videos and things. And I know you got to be careful when you're, watching certain things. You really have to be able to discern. And notice this machine that got out called CERN. But you have to be able to discern things, because you remember now, physicality is just a carrier for spirit. And you know how I told you how Satan likes to do. He copies something. He'll copy it so that you don't know, so that you will think that both of the things that you're seeing aren't both the enemy. So he just gets you to choose one and have you thinking that, oh wow, that was the other way was the right way, when both of them were the wrong way the whole time. You know, something you just gotta simply rebuke it. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you don't know what something is because you may not have the spirit. If you know you got the spirit, you know. But you can tell the tree by the fruit it bears. You know, Satan, he ain't gonna preach Jesus. It ain't gonna feel good. He ain't gonna preach Christ. He ain't gonna preach no end time word, because it goes against what he's trying to do. Well, he wants you to know that it's the end times. You know, he probably won't even, tell you that a God doesn't exist. He's probably going to tell you that, he's something else. That's why he has to get these Nephilim beings to cross over. He has to get something spiritual, because remember now, we were talking about what time does when when physicality crosses over into spirituality or other dimensions. Time, it grows. It begins to speed up, because, the spirit is it's like what you're seeing now, but on a larger scale. There's more things to what we're seeing now. There's more things behind the trees and nature and creation, but we don't want to get too far. So that's why they want you to believe in these deluding Anunnaki beings that are going to return and say, hey, that they want you to believe that they're the creators, so that because of what you're going to be seeing, they know prophecy is going to be happening. They know, these beings know the word. These beings were with God before Lucifer got them to rebel. But so he needs, God is going to allow this deluding influence, because he has to separate the wheat from the tare, the lamb from the goat. And there are even false Christians that we're going to have to watch out for. They'll manifest in the church. So basically, Satan has to get his army to manifest here, so that we would believe that the judgment that's coming from the sky is from the evil God, when he's actually, that's because he's going to manifest as peace at first, and say that, hey, we come here to help you, we come to save you from what's going on the planet, and we're the saviors. So this is what Satan is going to try to achieve, just so that it'll get us focused off the one we need to return, or the return that we're expecting, so that we'll have a way up out of here. So we'll be able to step through one of them portals John stepped through to save us from what's coming, because the scripture said it's gonna be so bad. The people gonna be hiding in the caves, even telling the caves to fall on us. People don't understand that parable, because they're gonna be like, well, we in these caves ain't even gonna save us. Now we need to get up out of the caves. So you gotta ask yourself, what is coming? That, see, they're gonna make a plan to escape, or they're gonna have some plan that they've been operating on. I don't know if it's gonna be underground or literally in caves or whatever, but something is gonna happen to where they're gonna want to escape from their own agenda. That's heavy revelation. You ain't gonna hear that nowhere else. That's why people don't understand it. They're gonna want to escape their own agenda, because their own agenda is gonna turn on them. But this is how God works. He just counter your own attack. He puts you against you. But So back to where we were. That's how John was getting his knowledge. And what he was receiving was coming to him by the Spirit. But because we've been so, downgraded from the spiritual, our spiritual nature from where we were before, God told the prophet Daniel to close up the scriptures until the end times were, because he said knowledge will be increased. This is how you'll know when to start speaking about these prophecies, because these prophecies are going to be going on around you. That's how you're going to know it's the time. Because we knew that God, he told us, he'll redeem us from this chaos and this darkness that's going on the earth, but he'll do it at the end. Because if he did it too early, what would we do? If he gave us the glory too early, we would be doing what Egypt did. So now he's putting us at a time where we cannot use the light, the Christ, for evil. We're going to have to use it. We're going to have to resurrect things. We're going to have to heal people. It's going to be so bad. You're going to have some access to a supernatural power. But we're just glazing the surface of what was going on, during the days of Noah, because this is the time that Jesus was telling us about. We don't know the day or the hour, but we know we got time. Because our God, he ain't like that. He gave us things so we would know when it would literally be time to look up. He told us, he gave us the signs. At this time, he said, look up. Your redemption draws nigh. Because you're going to know all these asteroids falling. There's going to be something coming so bad to a point where you're going to be like, well, if Jesus don't come, if that sky don't open up, that doorway don't open up now, then we're all doomed. It's not funny, but we serve a good God. And if you're a believer, then you're going with him. So you have nothing to be afraid of. If you're preparing, you're getting that word, and you're monitoring prophecy, you're working on yourself, you're trying to be decent. It ain't about being perfect, but it's about being decent, and you got to be in order. But anyway, we're just glazing the surface of part one of the end times. And I just wanted to make sure I put a little bit in there to summarize where we're gonna dive deeper into. Some things we're going to have to pull out some scripture and really dig. People don't believe. That's why you read the word, so the word will get in you. But, some of us, we got to see it right in front of us. But we're just warming up. And make sure y'all subscribe, because you never know when I'm going to release something. I do release a lot of prophecy, and I am pretty accurate, but I need to start releasing it to the right places, You can't, keep releasing things, to people. Even if you're seeing a word come to pass, if you're seeing that you're accurate, then you have to start putting that accurate word, to where people are gonna wanna, or to a place where people can receive it. So that's what we're working on, with Warren Prophetic. Stay tuned, subscribe. So that concludes the summary of the first part of the days of Noah are upon us. That is more of my summary to what we're going to be going in, because again, these days are literally right in front of us. This stuff is playing out right in front of our faces. So it shouldn't take a genius to see it. We have an obligation, a human obligation, to pay attention to Bible prophecy. It's just Warren Prophetic Ministry. We're just warming up, but we want to make sure we're giving you guys some word even while we're warming up. But anyway, God bless you guys. Everybody hit subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button so you can pay attention to new content that's coming out, new prophecy. You never know, I might say something that you need to know about. Anyway, subscribe. God bless you guys.